This mutation is called Wheel of Misfortune, and it is everybody's favorite mutation played on everybody's favorite map, Cradle of Death. We have basically Chaos Studios, and what happens in Wheel of Misfortune is 3 mutators are always present on the map, and they will constantly get cycled through throughout the course of the game. So, for starters, we have Scorched Earth, Laser Drill, and going nuclear. Laser Drill is very unfortunate right now because Laser Drill is actually going to severely hinder Dehaka's leveling in the early stages of the game, and the early stage of the game is very important. Luckily for Dehaka right now is that he is actually the drill has targeted the truck instead of Dehaka. What Dehaka should be doing over here is moving around in these enemy camps to level up a little bit. Unfortunately, the truck does go down, and Dehaka gets saved by the Guardian Shell, but I think he probably wants to run away before the thing kills him, and Dehaka goes down, which is very unfortunate for our little lizard friend over here. But yeah, Laser Drill is very unfortunate as a starting mutator because it can severely limit Dehaka's ability to level in the start of the game, because any aim-on unit will provide vision for the Laser Drill, and the Laser Drill will try and aggro them. So let's have a look at the production right now. Production seems relatively normal. Everything is going up as according to plan. Let's have a quick look at the masteries over here. So we have a little bit of a split in the shield overcharge and the Guardian Shell, the energy regen, and the Chrono Boost and the initial Spear for Dune energy. Personally, I would just move the Spear for Dune energy over to the Chrono Boost mastery. I don't think there's any use for Artanis' early energy, but what that might be is just to be able to handle early game Void Rifts. I think that might have also been a possibility. So that is that. For Dehaka, we have the Devour healing, the Pack Meter duration, and the Dehaka attack speed, which is all very normal. And now Dehaka is going to start pushing to this side. So Artanis' power field gets projected down onto the ground, and he does produce a few of these units over here. Dehaka is taking a little bit too much damage there from the construct. That last, very unlucky for Dehaka there. That last hit actually ended up killing him. Otherwise he would have survived. And that Laser Drill is causing a lot of problems here, dealing a lot of damage to Artanis' units as well. That Laser Drill is actually focused now on this truck, but I do not know why the truck is moving back. The truck can actually tank a significant amount of damage from this Laser Drill before it actually ends up going down. Going nuclear is going to be the problem over here, because going nuclear will start hitting your base and other units around it. So Dehaka is here now, just trying to level up. Dehaka really needs these early game levels. They provide him with a lot of ability, but the Scorched Earth gets removed and Imminent Domain gets added in its place. That is actually really good for the commanders, because unless you're losing structures, if you're going for a Stereo Defense build, for example, you're not really going to be taking... this mutator is not really going to be impacting you at all. So that's actually very good for these commanders over here. Dehaka has... okay, he's gone for the Devour Armor effect there. I think he is. But again, he's getting focused down by this Laser Drill, which is slowing him down a lot. And now we have a Solar Bombardment that comes down because the timing is getting low. So emergency use of the Solar Bombardment there, definitely not ideal. But I don't think the commanders had a chance. They have to just get past that Laser Drill. That Laser Drill is causing too many problems for them. And now we... Artanis is basically ramping up easily, and same here for Dehaka as well. He's gotten all his tech structures out, or they're on the way now, and he'll have his back leaders ready to support Dehaka. You can see a probe transfer over here, and you have to really be careful with these nukes here. These nukes will end up hitting your units, and you might end up losing your structures if you're not paying attention. So Dehaka is really happy now, but unfortunately the Laser Drill goes away, and they get something worse now. It's Void Rifts, which is very unfortunate. Getting these Void Rifts out at this stage of the game, it's probably not the worst thing that can happen, because you are in the later stages of the early game, so you do have access to an army, but that is still very unfortunate to get access to get the Void Rifts at such an early point, and it's still going to be around for a while. So Dehaka is going there, just picking up whatever essence he can right now, which is kind of important for him. But he's at 132 essence right now. He's picked up 132 essence, and 132 essence has been dropped. So he has a 100% pickup rate right now. on the essence drops here. The first set of Void Rifts will not come out for at least a few more seconds, so both the commanders will have to go and try and rush this. The one problem with the Void Rifts is if you do not actually deal with the Void Rifts as soon as they spawn, you can get completely overwhelmed by the sheer number of units that are coming out of those rifts. So clearing out the rifts as soon as they spawn is very, very important. You can see here that Artanis has added a few High Templars into his army, and these High Templars will provide him with a little bit of extra damage output. Now, the going nuclear has been removed, but we have aggressive deployment. Again, not a very easy mutator to deal with. If you're not paying attention, the drops will come up on top of your army, and you will end up losing a lot of high-value units. Especially over here, Artanis does have these High Templars, which are really, really valuable, very fragile units. And you see here he's made them into an Archon now after he's used the Storm. So the one thing you can do when you are playing on the with High Templars is Dehaka's on this side now. I'm going to go and deal with this Void Rift. But the one thing you can do is use your High Templars to cast the abilities, as you can see what Artanis was doing here. And once they are actually drained out of their energy, you can convert them to Archons, and then you have more abilities to use. Because the energy gets reset after you get the Archon. You can see over here Dehaka is spawning his Doctrine over here as well. Just deal with his Void Rift. There are two Void Rifts down here that need to be addressed as well. And this is why Void Rift is a very, very nasty mutator, because it just sends a trickle towards your enemy, towards your base, and it's going to cause a lot of problems over here. So we have Rovar down there, and there is one Zealot over here hacking away at the drones here, but Dehaka is able to go ahead and deal with that as time goes on. And now Imminent Domain has been removed, Alien Incubation gets added, which is again somewhat unfortunate because it does make these units a little bit more tanky. This truck will probably end up going down, but there's one more Void Rift here for the allied commanders which has not been dealt with, and there's a ping over here that says go ahead, deal with this Void Rift, because now there are 3 more Void Rifts that have spawned. One, number 2, and number 3 is over there right now. So Dehaka is already ready to deal with this first one. This one's an older Void Rift, so that one needs to be dealt with very quickly before it starts to overwhelm the commanders. And what I might actually do is switch over to Dehaka's. The even though the stop bar is kind of broken, it'll prevent the minimap from disappearing every now and then. And we have Artanis using one Zealot over here. He'll probably need to warp in an extra Zealot to be able to deal with this. So there's a small attack wave that spawns on here, but Dehaka is in position. We'll end up clearing out these Zerglings and the extra Broodlings that have been spawned there. And now that last worm is over there, and I think it's going to focus fire down this rift. Rift goes down, and Void Rifts have been cleared. Now the Void Rift Mutator has been removed, so the commanders do have a little bit of a breathing room before the next set hits, and it appears to be Orbital Strike. There is a ninja attack wave here from that Void Rift, and that ends up taking out Dehaka's Extractor as well as some of the drones in his main. But right now it should not be terrible for the commanders. They're just on the back foot right now because of that Void Rift Mutator. It was causing a lot of havoc there. Unfortunately, there is no truck here to keep these construct in check. So it's going to start skilling these units over here. Artanis just going to charge in regardless. And now there's an attack wave that has spawned here, but there is a parasitic bomb on that Mutalisk as well. Those other Mutalisks taking a lot of unnecessary damage there. There was no split there, but Dehaka will be making his way now towards this objective. Now that the trucks are in position, they'll be able to clear the side out. 1 minute left on the timer. The commanders will have to hurry before the timer expires. Otherwise, it is going to be end of game, game over, and Amon wins, or Mobius Corp win. And again, an emergency solar bombardment gets dropped onto this side. Lots of orbital strikes on here, and Artanis' army is just going to get completely smashed by those orbital strikes. Very unfortunate for Artanis on this side. And over here, Dehaka is going to be clearing. 30 seconds left on the timer, and there we go, that area has been cleared. Now, unfortunately, there are Void Reanimators that were added into this mix, and these Void Reanimators are going to be really, really nasty. A bunch of Zerglings over here nibbling on these drones. Guardian Shell comes down. Unfortunately, the Mutalisks are not... Okay, there we go. The Artanis' Guardian Shell ability is going to keep them alive. And it's going to be one of the more useful abilities, passives over here, to helping these commanders win, because these it just keeps your units alive a little bit longer, and you can get a little bit of value as well for your army. especially with such aggressively damaging mutators like the Alien Incubation and the Orbital Strikes here. You can see some new Orbital Strikes on this side. Amon will not actually strike you from inside your base, so as long as you're inside this area, you're kind of safe. But as soon as you walk out, he's going to be more than happy to start skilling you. And now the question is going to be, how are they going to deal with the Reanimators? Because Reanimators are really annoying, and they will start to resurrect any unit that has died in the game. So both the ally commanders will have to be very, very careful with paying attention with that. And now we have the next mutator that has been added. It is Outbreak. Alien Incubation is gone. Outbreak is now in play, and Outbreak will cause Infested to start spawning from all enemy structures on the map. And unfortunately, because this is in the mid-game where the map has not been cleared, and to be honest, even all clearing this map is very, very impractical, you will start getting a lot of infested units working towards your way. So as you can see here, there is a trickle on the side of some units, and I believe Dehaka is looking for that Void Reanimator. I think that Void Reanimator has spawned somewhere, maybe near the top, or maybe it spawned near that Spore Crawler over there. So Dehaka will have to go look. There's the Reanimator. The Reanimator gets cleaned up. And that is the end of that. And now Artanis is ready to start pushing into this third base. He's going to start pushing in. Some storms go down to just weaken this, and Murvar now gets dropped as well to just provide some extra damage output to these commanders here. And then now there is a drop that is coming up on this side, and I think there is an Outbreak spawn as well as working its way here. These commanders will have to deal with. Okay, so Doctrine gets dropped on this side. That'll handle that part. And now the commanders are going to be pushing into this third base here. This is going to be very, very hectic. Yeah, there we go. So Orbital Strike gets removed now from the list, and Imminent Domain comes back into play, which is very, very good for these commanders. This will make the mission a little bit easier, give them a little bit of breathing space, and provide them with a little bit of extra time to actually push. Now, this is their opportunity to start pushing hyper aggressively and completing as much of the mission as possible, because mutator sets have become a little bit more simpler in that sense. So now we have another bunch of units over here. I believe there is a Void Reanimator that has resurrected that Swarm host that may have been spawned from the Void Rift, which is also somewhat unfortunate. But Dehaka is in position here. That worm gets converted to Amon's side. Literally the only time Imminent Domain could have like messed with them is that primal worm over here. So now Dehaka summons another Glavik. You just go ahead and deal with this side, and Dehaka might actually end up going down. Nope, Artanis' Guardian Shell keeps him alive, and that is what makes it very, very useful. That Guardian Shell keeps your units alive, and especially Dehaka, really powerful unit. You want to keep him alive as long as possible, and that third side has been cleared. There is one more side left to do, and now the Void Reanimators are out of play. So any Void Reanimators now that are there will remain on the map. They will not despawn. But as soon as these things have been cleared, no more Void Reanimators will spawn. And obviously a Void Reanimator cannot also resurrect another Void Reanimator, so those are the only ones that are remaining. That guy will gonna get cleared up very, very quickly. There's a thing on him. And now we have Barrier again. Barrier is a very, very easy mutator to deal with. It just requires you to just push harder and just deal more damage, and that is basically the Barrier mutator taken care of. This is the commander's chance now to start pushing before they get something more nasty like Propagators or other sorts of nasty stuff you don't really want to play with. So as you can see here, both commanders are taking the opportunity to start hyper aggressively pushing onto this side. The one thing that Dehaka will have to be careful of is his worms that might be taking unnecessary damage, and they will get converted to Amon's side, which could cause a little bit of problems here. So there we go. There's, I think, a few more units. Okay, this is basically from the Outbreak mutator, which will be disappearing in just a little bit. But once that Outbreak mutator goes away, it'll be a little bit easier, and that's actually a good time as well for Outbreak to disappear, because at 20 minutes, aberrations will start spawning from the enemy structures, and that's when you actually get overwhelmed. So Outbreak is out, so if anything happens, they only have to deal with maybe one set of aberrations, which is definitely doable. With Outbreak gone now, we have lava bursts that are being spawned on the map. That one is a little bit more dangerous if you have heroic units, but again, as long as you're paying attention to your army, you will take very, very minimal casualties on as a result of that mutator. But Artanis is waiting to push in, and Dehaka will be pushing in from this side again. As you can see here, they have to play a little bit of dodgeball on these lava bursts, because There's a lot of damage that can be dealt from these things. Lava burst again spawns on this side. Unfortunately, the Archon aggroes that army and walks into the lava burst and ends up getting a loss there. I have a few feedbacks coming up, but unfortunately that one Viper... Okay, there we go. There's a feedback on that Viper. Viper gets cleaned up, and now there is a harass drop that comes up here. Again, lots of storms coming down the Amon's army, completely destroying pretty much everything. And Dehaka is now in Godzilla mode, and he is good to go. Level cap Dehaka. He is... he's actually, that pickup rate on the essence is like, it's impressive. He was at 1,700 essence last I had him playing. Very, very good play here on Dehaka. Yeah, 1,700 essence out of 1,900 pickup. And now we have a solar bombardment here just to move all the other units over here on this side. Imminent domain gets removed and concussive attacks gets added, but concussive attacks is not very impactful for these commanders right now. They are already in position. They are already where they need to be. And now you can see a ton more storms coming up for Artanis here. Just instantly cleans up a lot of these. And now there is harass wave here. Again, lots of storms coming up, completely shredding the harass wave. And now that construct is left pretty much by itself, unable to defend itself because the truck is there. And everything else now will be cleaned up. So that construct goes down, and the truck now gets put into position. These two trucks are now there. And that is the end of the mission. With a very, very nasty set of mutators, but that is what makes Wheel of Misfortune very, very fun, and that is GG.